it's the middle of February, and everybody's trying to figure out what they can do outside in their gardens. Well, this is the perfect time of the year to prune your deciduous trees. Why is this the perfect time of the year? Because any cut that you make on a deciduous tree actually opens up a wound on it, and it's like ringing the dinner bell for insects and disease. So we prune this time of the year when the tree is dormant and the sap is not flowing. This also allows the tree to recover as it comes out of dormancy, rather than trying to use the stores of energy it's making to get through the winter and have to go dormant and try to heal a wound at the same time. Today we're going to discuss some of the problems that you will have with trees, what specific things you need to look for as far as crossing branches, things along those lines. You can see this tree right here is very overgrown and very much in need of a pruning. Now, obviously this tree is on a much smaller scale than what some of you would have in your yards. With a tree like this, we want to try to use a bypass pruner. This is called a bypass pruner because of the angles and the angles on the blades. There are anvil style of pruners. They would have the flat blade with a flat blunt striking object on this side. Those typically, when you close them, they crush and damage the tree and have a tendency to rip bark, which is another invitation to try to get those insects and those diseases into it. Now this size tree, this is perfectly suitable for. You go up into other sizes of trees, obviously you would want to use a lopper. And again, this is a bypass style of lopper. They do make them with the anvil, but we strongly suggest using bypass style of pruners. And again, these will also only cut a branch that is maybe 3 inches in diameter, and that might even be a struggle. The next kind of tool that we would use would be a small handsaw. And this is a nice little pruning saw. They don't have to be real big. This is used for cutting branches that may be 3 inches in diameter or bigger. And one of the things you have to be aware of when you're cutting large branches off, there's a lot of weight behind those branches. And with this tree, I can't really show you the proper technique, but I can explain it to you very well. If you have a very large branch, ideally what you want to do is make a cut around that branch about 3 inches out from where you're actually going to eventually, and say that is the final cut. The reason for that is all that weight, when you start to make a cut, comes onto that cut. If that branch falls off, it can rip and damage the tree a whole lot worse than simply making a nice clean cut. And to be honest, folks, that wound will never ever heal properly, and you will get disease and insect, I promise you. And again, what we're trying to do is eliminate crossing branches, ones that are basically mirroring each other, and really one of them is not necessary. You try to find the healthier branch in there, any crossing branches. And this is a perfect example. We have not only a competing branch through here, but actually a crossing branch. These 3 branches are all trying to go in the same direction and trying to basically fill the same hole of the tree. How we're going to do this, we're not going to do any directional pruning yet. We're going to discuss that one later. What we want to try to identify is all the bad areas. And again, we have 2 branches that are in direct competition with each other. Well, what I want to do, versus having this tree continue to grow up towards the inside, I want to encourage it to spread a little bit. So the branch that goes away on this one is the one on the inside. That's an example of removing 2 competing branches. This is a great example of branches crossing. Not only, again, do I have the competing branches, but I have this little guy here that's trying to curl right back up into the middle of all this mess. And again, we don't want to have that. This is the weaker of all of the branches. You can see by the diameter of it, it's very small. It's probably new growth from last year. We want to get that one eliminated. And again, for the same reason, I don't want to continue to encourage this tree to grow up in a very tight mass of branches. I want to encourage this maple to spread. So I'm also going to remove that one. As you can see from the first shot here, that was just a complete mess. Now it's completely open, you've got air circulation, you don't have the branches trying to compete with each other. This is what we refer to as a crotch in the tree. Typically the way it branches up, it's going to be less than a 45-degree angle. This branch right here, in any kind of winter damage, any kind of storm, can create a large problem for this tree. This branch were to break, it would actually strip this trunk further on down. Any branches that are less than that 22.5 degrees, 22 degrees, need to be removed completely from the tree. So we're going to go in here and we're going to cut this close to the trunk as we can and simply snip him out of there and remove that. That will save this tree a lot of anguish should an ice storm or anything like that come up. And again, we've just opened up this tree tremendously just by removing a crotch in the tree. Now I'm going to do my thing, open this tree up a little bit easier and let you see a finished product. We've shown you some pretty good examples of what it is that you're looking to remove, and then we'll focus on that leader.